everyone, I'm Kathy Dawson. Welcome to Can You Relate, Cleveland and Northeast Ohio's relationship show. We have a very special show for you today because Mother's Day is this weekend. So we are going to be giving you something very special at the end. We have a giveaway. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but at the end of the show you'll find out, so you'll want to stay tuned for that. Our first segment, though, we have my friends on the couch with Relationship Roundup. So let's get started. This is the Relationship Roundup segment. This is where I get the chance to have my friends come in the studio, sit on the couch, and answer a question having to do with relationships. So I'd like you each to introduce yourself to everybody. Would you like to start?
Hi, I'm Barbara Rose, and I am the mother of 2 adult daughters.
Welcome to the show again.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
I'm Sandy Hoyt. I am the artistic director of John Roberts Spa, and I'm here for being the daughter part.
yes, and I want to throw something in special about Sandy. Sandy does my hair and makeup, and thank you so much for all the work you do.
My pleasure.
And lovely it is.
Well, thank you so much. It is. I love what you do.
I'm Donna Fox, and I have 2 adult daughters with children of their own.
Okay, all right. So now here's the question. Mother's Day is this weekend. The question is, at what point does a mother turn from being a parent to a friend?
I think it never happens. Personally speaking. I mean, not that it never happens, but you don't ever lose that. I personally never lose that parental feeling. You know, I still have the same concerns. My daughter, who's out of town in New York, was sick last week, and immediately I'm worried, and, you know, why can't I be there to take care of her?
Okay.
And we have adult conversations, but I don't think of them as my friends. I always think of them as my daughters.
And now, how old are your kids?
28 and 25.
And
almost.
I have to ask you, do you ever feel like you slip into a moment, though, where you're companions and kind of on the same level?
Oh, definitely,
okay.
yes, yes.
Okay.
Shared jokes, shared family stories.
And do girl stuff. And,
yeah, all of that. But I don't, when I think of my friends, I think of my friends. And when I think of my daughters, I think of my daughters.
So it sounds like there's a dividing line there
for me.
Okay, for you. How about you guys?
I don't totally agree, because I think what I just heard, you are friends. Because there are friends, and then there are friends. You're not the peer of your daughter.
Right,
there you
right.
go.
But it goes, at least for me, and it didn't really happen, I mean, it was a little bit, but it really became really clear to me once they had children. Because now we went mother-daughter, mother-daughter-friend, mother-mother relationship. So it was even more complex, but definitely.
Okay, now Sandy, you have a different perspective because you're the daughter.
I'm the daughter. And I thought I became friends with my mom at a young age. I thought we were friends from the time I was probably about 14.
Now that's completely different from your perspective.
Right, but also a different situation.
Yeah,
Right.
Completely. I was raised by a single mom, so we were partners, we were friends. And I think that can definitely happen. That dynamic is just different when you're growing up in that type of household. And it was wonderful. I mean, my mom might not have told me things that she would tell her girlfriends. I agree with that.
That's good news.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. But we also respected each other enough that I thought that we could talk to each other about more in-depth things. I think as a daughter, you need to be friends with your mom, so that way you can turn to them and you can talk to them about things that might be concerning for yourself.
So there needs to be a certain amount of trust there for you to be able to do that.
And my children do come to me very often for advice or just my take on a certain situation. But again, I guess I just don't think of them as my friends because there are certain things I don't want to know about them, and they certainly don't want to know about me.
Exactly. I think it's a matter of semantics almost, you know, how you define friend.
Yeah, I like your use of the word peer.
Yeah.
Yes, I do too.
Yeah.
And for me, when my daughter went off to college and she came back after a couple years of being in college, it's not that we're, you know, hanging out 24/7, but I did feel a shift. There was a different level of communication that was happening that didn't feel mother-daughterly as much.
Right.
Now, for Mother's Day, this is real quick. I'm throwing this at you. You didn't know I was going to ask you.
Uh-oh.
Just quickly name, what do you think is the best gift or one of the best gifts that your mother's ever given you? Now, I don't mean material gifts.
Our mothers have ever
Yes.
Her sense of humor.
Terrific.
I definitely the love, the compassion.
The compassion,
Yeah.
okay.
Her sense of humor and her strength against adversity. I have a very easy life. She had a rough life, and she taught me how to make the most out of everything.
That's wonderful.
Strength is huge.
And mine, this sounds very strange, but as a little kid, I didn't do well in grade school. And my mother taught me this song to learn linking verbs. It's a pivotal point in my life. I stood up in front of my class and I sang, be as am, are, was, or been, taste, smell, feel, seem, grow, be, come, sound, look, and appear. And that gave me the confidence, but she made that song up for me.
I love it.
So thank you, Mom.
Yeah, our mom's great.
Our mom's great.
They are great.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wish you all a happy Mother's Day and a
Thank
happy
you.
Mother's Day to everyone else. So stay tuned because we've got the next segment coming up.
Up next, Mom's making a meal. We're cooking up a healthy meal straight from the heart. And later in the show, Mom has always taken care of you. We'll help you make sure she takes care of herself.
Everybody wins when you decide to donate your ride to Our Lady of the Wayside.
Our Lady of the Wayside is so much more than a car donation program. For over 40 years, we've helped thousands of physically and mentally challenged citizens live more comfortable lives within our network of homes. Our services range from assisting with personal care to developing productive personal growth. With your generous support and help, we can reach out to so many more. Y'all can help. Visit wayside.org or stop in to see us today. You can change lives.
With our next guest, you can't have too many cooks in the kitchen. I am so delighted to introduce you to Ann Crile Esselstyn and her daughter Jane Esselstyn. Welcome to the show. You're here to talk to us about cooking healthy, in particular heart healthy. So tell me a little bit about what we're going to be doing today.
Well, my husband wrote this book, Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease, and I'm going to show you how to be plant perfect, which is a term that our son, who also wrote another book, Jane, do you want to tell about that?
Wow, this is a family.
Engine.
This is great.
Yeah.
This is Rip Esselstyn, my brother, wrote, and it is a plant-based book, but he talks about being plant strong.
So what's the difference between the two?
This book is directed at, well, everybody, but particularly if you have heart disease. So if you have heart disease, you're treading a narrow path, and so there's no meat, no dairy, no oil, nothing with a face.
And no pun intended, because the path of the artery is really skinny, right? Okay.
And no nuts and no avocado.
But the Engine 2 diet, which is plant strong, uses nuts sparingly, like in sauces and things, as we'll have today, and some avocados. He uses, because avocados are really high in fat.
Okay, so let's get started cooking, and you guys just keep talking while you're cooking.
All right, I'm
preparing.
going to start first, and I'm going to make a collard. This is a wrap that we put 30 seconds in boiling. This is a collard. We put 30 seconds in boiling water, and now I'm going to put on it some hummus. Now, this is not the normal hummus, which is chickpeas, lemon, and garlic, and tahini. This has no tahini, no oil. Wow. And you can get this at Whole Foods and at Heinen's makes one made by Amir. And because it's just, you know, so healthy, I can just slather this on. It's great. I mean, just get
Spread it like
nice
you know
and thick.
Right, yeah. That's great.
And then I'm going to put some cilantro. I love cilantro. Some green onions. And Jane has taught me that I need to put some basil in here. So here's a little basil.
I love basil.
And now some red pepper. And then some cucumber strips. And it's nice having these long and lean things because it keeps it...
You can wrap it.
Yeah, you can wrap it.
Right.
And then...
The kumquat.
Oh, yes, kumquat.
It's so typical.
Oh,
This was
my gosh,
yesterday.
we can't
This is
forget
not in her
kumquat.
recipe,
Who
but-
uses kumquats?
Have you tasted them? They are delicious.
Thank you.
Amazing. So they're
Ooh,
so
what a
pretty.
tang they have.
And they
No,
have a tang,
it's
and
not in
they're
her recipe.
really good.
It's just so typical of her.
Yesterday I saw them.
Throw it in there.
Saw them at the grocery store, and I thought, yes.
Oh my gosh, this is like chemistry. You got to just pick what
And
you want.
then my favorite is the zester.
Oh, watch it with that.
Oh no! And to get the little lemon zest, you get the sort of really
the zing?
the zing. You get
okay.
the lemony of it. And then I'm going to cut a little lemon. And this is my favorite little tool, which is a citrus reamer. And I can get all this nice lemon juice in here. And then while I'm wrapping it,
you're going to start because we're running out of time.
Okay, this is not fat-free hummus. This is cashew cream. And it's made with cashews and water, basically. And this is built the same way. And this is just a little bit different. It has more of a savory taste because of the nuts. But I teach disease prevention classes at Whole Foods. And I had a class about women power, sex, and food. And
she also teaches sex ed.
I also teach sex ed.
Do you really?
Yeah.
We have to have you back just for that.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, it's a blast. So I thought that steamed asparagus and cream cashews would make a nice little sexy thing to have for the Women Power Sex and Food class.
Love it.
And it was a big hit.
And look how colorful. This is so great.
Yeah, this is just a little bit of everything, but I'm using asparagus instead of the cucumber. And I have these are red onions that have been caramelized in a pan with no oil, just on high heat, and then a little bit of vegetable broth at the end to get all the caramelization up. And again, the same situation with the lemon.
And then again, you wrap it, and then you're cutting it.
And I would take the time and do the rind, but it's a little rush.
Okay, that's terrific. You know what? We're going to have both of these recipes on our website at CanYouRelateTV.com. Thank you both for coming in. We've got to have you back.
Thank you, Kathy.
Oh, absolutely.
Fabulous.
Absolutely.
Stay tuned for Rate Your Relationship coming up next. May I try one?
To stay in a marriage or leave it? That is the question. To answer that, first answer this. Are you staying in a marriage because you don't want to be alone? You want financial security? You don't want to hurt the children? Those answers and Coach Kathy can help you decide should you stay or should you go.
If you said yes to any of these questions, you actually are staying in your marriage or relationship for the wrong reason. I'll tell you what I do for a living, I work at keeping people together. But if they're going to stay, I ask them this question, what is your motive for staying? So make sure when you stay in a relationship, you stay because you want to work on the relationship and you want it to work for a lifetime. If you know someone who wants to take this survey, they can do so by going to CanYouRelateTV.com. Stay tuned because we've got the next segment coming right up.
Just ahead, we'll help Mom know best about planning for her future. And later, is your antique a treasure or trash? We'll offer an appraisal.
Hi, Murray Plasko from Fashion Floors. Here to remind you that Fashion Floors has a wide selection of carpet and the newest and hottest in hardwood flooring. Plus, we have the very latest in green products like bamboo and cork. Think big, save big, get 12 months same as cash. Call or come see us today.
Join in as Al's Deli celebrates its 5th anniversary. Nestled in downtown Cleveland's 55 Erie View Plaza building, Al's Deli serves breakfast, lunches, delicious Middle Eastern dishes, and has catering too. Al's Deli, a hidden treasure for your tummy. Log on for money-saving coupons today.
Taking her to dinner, sending her flowers. These are all wonderful things you can do for Mom on Mother's Day. Well, there's actually something else you can do for her. It's a little bit of a challenge, but it's really important. We've got Ken Butsey from Integrity First Planners. Welcome to the show. And I particularly want to welcome your mother, Joyce Butsey.
Thank you so
So thrilled to have you. What we're talking about today is the gift of estate planning. Now, I got to tell you, to some people, they're thinking, gift? How could this possibly be a gift? So I'm going to have you start.
Well, I think it's very important somehow to communicate to your parents, to your mother, to your father, that there's a time when you need to start thinking about what happens when. And mostly what I'm talking about is not so much death, but incapacitation. You know, how do you want to be treated? What kinds of things can we prepare for? And then see where that conversation goes.
Okay, do you look at this as a gift, or are you thinking, are you kidding me?
No, I think it's a wonderful approach to the inevitable. I mean, I really do believe that it's a very important topic.
Right.
And whoever approaches it, and it may be difficult. I understand it's probably difficult for a lot of people.
So was there a day when Ken sat you down and said, we need to talk?
We usually don't have that much time.
Okay.
So it's just
was
kind
it
of
by text?
No, it was It was maybe a phone call, but we didn't spend a lot of time on it. It's like, throw it out there, present it, and see, I think, what, you know, if I grasp upon it.
And how did you react to that?
I was very well with it.
Really?
Yes, because actually it was a relief, I think. Because I think everybody's lives are so busy, really. And you just don't take the time to stop and say, wait a minute, this is important.
Right, and the time's a-ticking.
And the time's a-ticking,
right.
Yes. You just go from one year to the next year. And
so without getting too personal, what kinds of things did you prepare for? I guess I am getting personal.
Well,
if you don't mind me asking.
Yeah, in our particular case, and this really isn't for everyone per se, but in our particular case, we discussed certain things about, you know, obviously, if something happens from an incapacitation standpoint, you'd like to be treated in the home as best as possible. So how do we set that up? How are we going to pay for those things?
Okay, what a great question to ask.
Right.
And do you have that all figured out?
I think, yeah, I think it's pretty well set from that standpoint. But kind of what I wanted to say, that, you know, sometimes this isn't for, although it's nicest if it can be within the family, sometimes it doesn't work out that way. I've had meetings where an entire family have come into the office and the parents really want the kids to be involved. And then I've had meetings where the parents don't want the kids to be involved at all, but they want someone. The important thing is that someone's involved, whether it's their attorney, their financial planner, their accountant, because those intentions need to be communicated and set up so that there's an orderly fashion to things. And like I said, most often it's going to be some kind of incapacitation. That's what you want to take care of first.
Sure.
So, and my mom's standing order is that she's not going to pass in February or March because it's too cold. So we've got all that taken care of.
So good.
Right. No, I think it's kind of a relief. I think once you get maybe over the initial shock of it, if it's just, I'm relieved to know that that's basically kind of all settled.
Right, and you know, we're mortal.
You know,
we need to talk about. Now, I'm going to share something. I remember when my mom got really sick, we didn't talk to her. Nobody talked to her, right? So now picture this. She's to the point where she can't talk, she can barely move.
Right.
We had to sit there and take her hand and forge. I think not good. But that's the complete opposite.
Right.
Okay. Well, great information.
By then it's too late. Everybody's too emotional about everything.
It's too emotional, right. So even though it sounds like it's a weird Mother's Day gift, it's a gift to you both.
Right.
And like it's not the elephant in the living room anymore.
Right.
Great information. As always, your son comes in and gives fabulous stuff, and I love having you on. Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you very much, you too.
All right, so to get a hold of Ken, because this is great info, you want to call him at 216-751-4229 or go to his website at integrityfirstplanners.com. Stay tuned because we have Romance Review coming up.
Next, you value Mom's heirlooms, but are they really valuable? We'll find out if their price is right. Then, not everyone has a great relationship with their mom. Coach Kathy has great advice for getting along with moms who aren't motherly.
Who says romance has to be expensive? If you and your mate want to take an excursion to a wine tasting, Whole Foods Market provides one every Friday night starting at 5:30 p.m. The cost is only $5 per person. Included in that price is the chance to sample 5 wines and 5 food pairings, bite-sized morsels that will surely entice your palate. Okay, so fluorescent lighting in a grocery store isn't the ambiance you might have imagined for romance, but remember, the true meaning of romance is you matter to me. Spending an inexpensive evening together sharing healthy food fits that definition.
For those who struggle with drug and alcohol addiction, finding the courage to change is the first step to lasting recovery. Discover life in recovery. Discover Glen Bay.
Glen Bay, nationally recognized drug and alcohol treatment for adults. Discover more at glenbay.com.
Your grandmother's rocking chair, your mother's china, we all have things from our parents that we really cherish, but how valuable monetarily are they? We have someone here with us, I'm sorry, Nick Chrisley. You're from Auntie's Antique Mall, that's hard to say, in Geauga County.
Correct.
And you're here to help us kind of put value on some things, but first tell us a little bit about what's the difference between antiques and things that maybe aren't antique.
Okay, well, to start off, in order to be considered an antique, it has to be 100 years old. That's the definition and by law.
Okay.
From that, we would expand a little further, and then there's what we call true antiques. And a true antique is typically something that was made before, like, the Civil War era, basically the start of the Industrial Revolution. So what you're looking at is handmade, one-of-a-kind type stuff, where it's not mass-produced. You're not going to find exactly another one type stuff.
Now, I brought some things. These are, my mother wasn't, and tell me if I'm pronouncing this right or not, Nippon or is it Nippon?
Either's fine as far as I know. I've heard both. I don't know, to be honest.
My mother,
Nippon is what mostly.
Okay. My mother was a Nippon collector, and these pieces right here are hers, and I brought them out. I'm so excited. I'd love to hear you tell me what they're worth.
Okay. Basically, Nippon is a real generalized topic. It covers everything. Basically, it translates, it means Japan. So anything made in Japan is going to usually say Nippon on it if it was pre-1921. So something like this bowl here is typically going to value in around the $100 to $125 range.
Okay.
You can basically tell the age based on the mark. Noritake is a little bit modern versus where if you start looking into things like this, this is a wonderful piece that dates probably pre-1900s, and we can tell that based on the language and the mark itself on the bottom here. Other things are indicative of age, but something like this is a great, highly collectible piece. A lot of people look for something like this. Something like this is probably going to value between $1,200 and $1,500, and could go more than that at the right auction. No, in all reality, I mean, like I always tell people though, you never know what something's worth. It's worth what somebody's willing to pay for it. So.
Well, that's true. Okay. Well, how about this? Actually, is my favorite piece.
Okay, this is a little bit more modern, and it's kind of, you can tell just alone by the shape alone, it's a more modern look to it. It's not as ornate. It doesn't have any of the embossing or anything like that. And then when we flip it over, we look at the mark again. We can tell just by looking at that mark alone how intricate and how detailed it is that it's a newer mark. It wasn't something that is real old and wasn't painted necessarily. It was stamped type thing, so that's why there's all that detail.
And then the napkin ring?
I'm not really sure as far as age, to be honest with you. Again, there's no markings to indicate where or when it would have been made, but based on the designs and that, again, it's probably a early 1900s piece, maybe 1915s,
is it
1920s.
That is
I would say yes, just because of, again, it has that look, it has everything going for it that says it's an early Japanese piece.
And then thank you for assessing all these and
no
praising
problem.
these. What are this? You brought some things.
I brought a few things, like stuff to look for, like maybe you might find in your own home. Like one of these, this is a Hot Wheel. It's a red line. It has red lines on the wheels. These were produced in like the 1960s. You probably, I don't even know, that's way before my time, but it was probably 50 cents new. It's just a tiny little car. You give these to your kids to play with. Something like this nowadays values at probably around $200.
That's crazy.
No, it's true. They're highly collected, and people are willing to pay some really
Well, we're going to
have
have you back to talk about one other thing. Let's do this little picture.
This is, again, another thing. This is a piece of Fostoria American. American is the pattern. It's indicative by the pyramid things. This is a pretty common piece. A lot of people collect this stuff, but something like this, again, little syrup pitcher.
What's
it
that?
is like $250 piece of glass.
Amazing. Now, you have an event coming up this weekend. Would you tell us about it?
This Saturday, we're going to be doing unofficial appraisals, which is basically just like what I did here. Give you a rough idea of what you have and what kind of value it is. We're doing that at Auntie's Antique Mall from 11 to 4, and it's part of Geauga County Tourism's Drive It Yourself tour.
That's terrific.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here. And what a fun thing to do for Mother's Day.
Yeah, absolutely. Come out and get your mom something that she'll be able to look back and say, I had one of those when I was a kid, or Grandma had those things. There's all kind of stuff out there.
And people can get a hold of you by calling you at 440-548-5353, and your website is antiquemall.com.
Right.
Thanks again.
Sure.
We'll be right back with Ask Coach Kathy.
Coming up, unlike others, you're not Mom's best friend, and you don't want to be. Kathy tackles a touchy relationship. And next week, couples who play together really do stay together. Find out why fun is the name of the game next week on Can You Relate with Kathy Dawson.
Craig and Mark Lindell and Grange Insurance understand that life is a series of brushstrokes, large and small. Moments from the everyday to the extraordinary. As you move through your world, let Grange Insurance and Lindell Insurance put the finishing touches on an insurance plan to meet your needs. Having Lindell Insurance and Grange handle your insurance while you stay in the moment. Now that's a stroke of genius.
This is the Ask Coach Kathy segment. This is where you get a chance to write your question and I answer it on the air. So this is this week's question. Kathy, Mother's Day is always emotional for me. My mom hasn't acted very motherly over the years. I don't ever remember her reading to me, baking me cookies, or doing things a mom is supposed to do. I've built up resentments about this and I'm not sure what to do about them. You know, it's hard because I think our culture does a number on us. It kind of gives us an idea of a role that a mother should play, but I'm here to tell you that parents do the best they can with the information they have. So I think you should search your heart and really think about the wonderful gift your mother has given you, because it's there. Now, stay tuned because I'm going to be back to tell you about what's coming up next week. And also, if you want to write in a question, you can do so at CanYouRelateTV.com.
You can get in touch with Kathy by calling 216-932-5016 or visit KathyTheCoach.com.
You've heard me talk about this fabulous giveaway. I promised I would reveal it at the end of the show. Here it is. For some lucky mother who emails us at info@CanYouRelateTV.com, we are going to pick randomly someone's name and you will get a spa package from John Roberts Spa. This includes a haircut and style, a manicure, a facial, and a massage. So go ahead and email us and you just might win. Thank you so much for joining us for Can You Relate? We will be back next week to talk about, do you and your mate do things together? And if not, how do you compromise? See you next week.
Hair and makeup courtesy of John Roberts Salon and Spa. Can You Relate with Kathy Dawson is presented by CK Media Productions.